Caleb, where are you? We're supposed to be filming.
I'm on my way. Hello, and welcome to the first episode of the Weekly Ponder. Have you been pondering at home? I hope you have. I'm Caleb.
And I'm Lara, and we have a lot to cover this week. We'll be talking to Liz Petrie from the UOW Snow Sport Club, spotlighting National Science Week with Teresa Larkin, and debuting a brand new UOW TV segment, Beneath the Trees with Leon Fuller.
But first, let's check in with Lilli for this week's bulletin.
Thanks guys, let's have a look at local events coming up this weekend and next. Wollongong City Council is moving forward with McCabe Park developments, which include a new city centre skate park after community consultation showed strong support. 85% of survey respondents backed the site, with design and construction expected to begin in October. Calling all tech nerds, this one's for you. Join the 2026 Hack the Gong event next weekend from the 22nd to the 23rd of August at the iAccelerate building. Gear up for a fast-paced 30-hour innovation challenge designed to push limits, spark new ideas and connect you with like-minded innovators. National Science Week officially kicked off on Tuesday the 11th of August in the UOW Science Space. This inspiring event explored how First Nations wisdom and Western scientific research come together to deepen our understanding of the natural world. This coming week, catch engaging science lectures, a live radio segment with ABC Illawarra, and interactive events across the university campus to celebrate National Science Week. Science Week goes from August the 15th to the 23rd. In the art space, the Go Bag exhibition officially welcomes visitors this Saturday, August 22nd, at Wollongong Art Gallery with opening remarks from exhibit curator Olivia Welch. The interactive exhibit explores the many forms of transient living, from migration to housing insecurity and the broader experience of movement and adaptation. Australian Shortboard Titles has announced its return to Wollongong this August 24th to the 30th. The 6 days competition welcomes all states to compete in multi-generational high-performance surfing comp for a spot on the Australian national surfing team. Craving some live music and shenanigans this weekend? This Friday, August 14th, catch Earl Grey's Society Strays EP Tour after party with Hot Pursuit, Roommates and Sylvia Lane at Laragh, known for their signature blend of alternative surf rock that has them dancing through genres. Earl Grey is back for a star-studded hometown after party with their friends. Also on Friday, head to Taroji Beach Hotel to catch Currents, presented by Yours and Ours featuring The Piper Son, Lemon Wire and Liv Brown Music. The event is free and held unforgettable happy hour deals. Expect alt, folk rock, indie surf and a bit of country from the bands performing. Saturday, August 15th, change the pace with Good Music House Party at Lars, featuring Stimpy's, Epworth, Physical Copy and good music DJs. Finally, finish the weekend strong at Northgong for their Sunday sessions featuring live bands and DJs, or head to Dicey Riley's for an afternoon of live music starting from 3 p.m. That's your What's On Bulletin. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, Lilli. I feel like I'm really in my element right now.
Well, that's probably because we're about to talk about National Science Week, which began yesterday.
UOW has an action-packed week for everyone to enjoy. Over to Koda for more.
Thank you, Lara and Caleb. And yes, I'm joined by here Associate Professor and Coordinator of National Science Week here at UOW, Teresa Larkin. Welcome.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm not too bad myself. And alrighty, so let's start off. What is National Science Week?
Yeah, so it's a week it's essentially a week and 2 days. So it's 2 weekends and the week between. And it's just for a focus on all things science. So run by Inspiring Australia, it's a government initiative. It's across the country and it's getting bigger and bigger every year. You know, there's lots of grassroots organisations that, you know, have their own events. There's big events that are run by the museum. So yes, anything, community activities, anything showcasing science. It can be general or it can be something like just a bug exhibition, for example.
Yeah, wow. And so what does it look like then for University of Wollongong then to celebrate, you know, such a massive area, you know, around the world like science?
It's so good, and every year, so I've done this now, this is the 4th year, and I can't believe how much science is happening here at UOW. And even though I'm in the science area and I've got lots of colleagues and friends that are in science, doing science, every year I'm like, oh my gosh, we've got so many things to showcase. So we've got an amazing array of events. I feel like there's something for everyone. And yeah, just really showcasing science, scientists, science students, researchers, professional staff that work in science, you know, highlighting different careers, different career paths, and then just really hoping to spark interest in the audience, in anyone that participates, for their curiosity, and I guess to show that science is also accessible. We're doing it all the time. You know, every time you try something different in your cooking or you move a plant around to get some different sunlight, you're kind of doing your own experiment.
Yeah, and would you say as well, is that a way that you're trying to bring in, you know, non-science students and non-scientists, I guess, to join in? Like, is this just for science students and professors?
No, so that's the biggest thing, is that like we're using the science expertise we have at uni, but to broaden that to everyone. So we're hoping that so many people will find something that interests them. And science is inherent in everything, but we don't just want science. And I personally don't want to just work in a science and technology institute. I love being at a uni where then people in science can collaborate with people in creative arts, in law, in history, in engineering. You know, in education, there's so many aspects that we need for good science, and we need that to be collaborative. And then I feel like it's just kind of sharing. So this is our week to share science, but I love when there's like film festivals or, you know, other history things or whatever that we can all kind of become a part in. So this is for everyone.
Yeah, I really like that. And so one of the main things as well that you are speaking about in that we've looked into is that you're really trying to inspire curiosity and sort of celebrate achievement. You know, what is this sort of inspiration of curiosity look like for everyone?
Yeah, so we've got lots of different events across the week. I don't know if you want me to let you know about them now or...
Yeah, no, feel free. You can let us know the events. Yeah,
just because
definitely.
I thought like for the curiosity, there's so many things in that. Like, so I guess that's part of it, is showcasing things. So the first event, you know, it's amazing that we're starting off with this inaugural, with the opening, so the official New South Wales opening of Science Week, and that's going to then be incorporated with our Indigenous Science Evening. So we've run that for 4 years, and I think that's a great way to start, you know, taking us back to the science of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander cultures that have been here for 65,000 plus years, the original scientists of this land. And so in that evening, we will have a panel where we're going to talk about the importance of observation and reflection, so Aboriginal ways of doing and being in science. And then we've got lots of events across the week covering things like the environment with the Alan Sefton lecture, with biomaterials and engineering with the Manufacturing the Future lecture, physics with the Marie Curie lecture.
So talking about that as well, what is that? Because obviously the first event, it's a synthesis on Western knowledge as well as like Indigenous. What does that sort of look like? Like, what are the main sort of discussions that are going to be having about that in regards to science?
Yeah, so first and foremost, it's really thinking about country as a teacher. And so the Aboriginal colleagues who I'm working with and who are presenting, you know, and for Aboriginal people more broadly and widely on this land. So country is teacher, and country has everything, and we can all learn from country. And it's, I think, understanding the wholeness, you know, the wholeness of things. So a plant, for example, it's got so many bits and pieces in it that are interesting to science. You know, there might be bioactive compounds in there that could have medicinal properties. We might like the look of it or the smell of it, but also to consider the wholeness of that plant and its role in ecosystems, its role in our health and in the health of the planet and country. So I think really considering wholeness, realising that we're part of country and we need to have reciprocal respect and reciprocal relationships so that we're not just taking and abusing resources. You know, we really need to think about that. Yeah, so there's lots of really interesting ways of incorporating both knowledges. One of the biggest things I've learnt from my collaborations and communications is about, and this is inherent in science, I think sometimes we've moved away from this a bit too far because we've got so much technology and we can find answers at our fingertips, we can be told things through our apps. We've kind of moved away from the crux or the beginnings of science, which is really observation and then reflection. So I'm excited that I'm even happy to bring that into my science, into my research, into my teachings, to really think about how we do that, because that's being better connected to country, to others, to culture, to ourselves.
Yeah, well, you've certainly inspired me, you know. So how can people get involved with these events?
Yeah, so we have a webpage on the UAW site. So if you just search UAW Science Showcase, then that will take you to a link. There's a list, every activity's got more information under it. They're pretty much all free, so people can get involved, and it's free, and you can participate, you can listen in, you can listen to the radio, you can come to the events. But even just by reading through what's going on, if someone's not able to go to anything or participate, there's lots of information in there that's interesting in itself. There's enough little snippets of information to give you an idea about physics and a bit of nuclear radiation, or to give you an idea about the environmental questions that are coming up in the Alan Sefton lecture, for example.
Well, thank you so much for joining us here on A Weekly Ponder here on the first episode. We'll go back to you now, Lara and Caleb. That is what's going on for National Science Week here at University of Wollongong.
Thanks for that, Koda. Now we're on to our Club of the Week segment. We're joined by Lizzie from Snow Sports.
G'day, hey guys, I'm Lizzie. I'm one of the people that runs UOW Snow Sports. Thanks for coming on the show.
My role is treasurer.
What is UOW Snow Sports?
So basically, our club it's the whole spectrum from never seeing snow before to being a pro at parks. We've got so many people from the trip that are on their first year, that are from overseas, and they just can come on our trip, and we do an annual trip every single year. We go down to Perisher, that's who we work with. We go down to Perisher for a weekend, and we take 240 members, and it's just a real fun time. It's a really great way of making new friends and just having a go.
And it sold out this year, didn't it?
Yeah, it sold out. I think it took an extra 2 weeks than it did last year, but it sells out every year. We end up with a wait list, and then obviously some people have stuff come up. So like someone had a wedding, people get sick or injured, and so lucky for our wait list. You can hopefully jump back on. We only had 3 people actually get through the wait list this year though. We also do a raffle. So we have 2 tickets that we save, and we do a massive raffle.
That's really exciting.
Yeah, it's pretty cracker.
You got the trip coming up to Jindabyne. What are the conditions looking like?
In the past week, we had about 14 to 31 centimetres of snow. We had a massive dump, lucky for us. It was definitely a later winter, which is pretty good for us because we are going middle of August. Snow sport, the snowfall's been pretty bad, I would say, this season, but it's definitely starting to pick up. So hopefully we get a bit of powder on the weekend.
Yeah. How will that impact the trip if it's not as good as you was hoping?
Look, when you think about the conditions, like last year, the year before, it has been bluebird. So that's, for people that don't know, bluebird is just when it's like clear blue skies, it's not, say, windy, cloudy, visibility's bad. It's like, that's honestly the best. You can just chuck on like your snow pants, snow boots, of course, and then I usually just wear like a thermal and a jersey over the top. So I think that's more fun to snowboard in, obviously, and a helmet, because safety, guys, safety.
Well, fingers crossed for you guys. And you have the trip coming up in Japan in 2027 as well. So what's sort of the difference between planning a trip like that versus Jindabyne?
So our annual trip, in comparison to Japan's a lot more, I don't want to say exclusive, it is open to everyone, but it is a very small crowd. So I think, I don't know if you can quote me on this, but like maybe 25 people. I think we're about 20, 25 people. It definitely takes a lot more planning. So it's flights, accommodation, it's Arkapaw and Tokyo. So it is 2 different places, and it's a lot of, you have to have had pre-travel experience. We don't let anyone under 21 go because of the drinking age over there. We also want to have some cultural experiences. So it's a lot of planning, making sure everyone's ready to go. We also do payment plans. So we're all uni students. We're not rich. Come on, we're all pretty hanging on there. So we do payment plans so that every month you pay a certain amount of money, and then when the trip comes by, you're pretty much set to go. Everything's sorted, accommodation. If you wanted to do flights with us, the President Julia, her mum actually runs a travel agency, so her mum has been a real big help in setting up group flights and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it.
Yeah. Now, other than the big trips, what else does the club provide for its members?
So we've actually been really active in the social calendar this year. We've done Clubs Day. We've done, was it last week or the week before? We did a sausage sizzle. So that's pretty cool. It's just a really good like way to meet new people. On my first year at uni, I went on the story trip just by like coincidence. I think I went through Clubs Day and spoke to Lara. She was the old president, and I spoke to Lara, and she was like, "Yeah, do you like to have fun? Do you like to party? Do you want to like meet new friends?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's go." And I just bought a ticket actually the day. I was the last person to like get a ticket. Met so many new people, had a cracker time snowboarding, like it was so fun. The bus ride down is definitely one for the books.
So is it definitely like a social club when it's not the travel?
100%, yeah. Like we do a lot of work behind the scenes as well. So we've all been working since, I'd say, end of January, start of February, even just for the annual trip.
Wow.
So it's definitely been a lot, but we run like a lot of different like social activities. We did movie night. Last year we had like, when were the Olympics? Was it this year? Was it last year?
Last year, I think.
Last year. With the Olympics last year, there was like a watch party that we did for like the skiing and stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's pretty cool.
Well, that sounds really interesting. How could someone get involved if they wanted to?
A really good way to find out like info is just coming down to like Clubs Day, or when we've got a stall pop up, or even just like snagging me out of uni and being like, "Oi, Lizzie, you do the snow sports, right?" I get this all the time. "Lizzie, you do snow sports. Question. People message me on my private Instagram, "Lizzie, blah, 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 blah." That's a great way. But an even better way would be to jump on our socials. You're at URW Snow Sports Club, yes, and to look through our posts. We are constantly posting. We've got price comparisons. We've got info on our trip. We've got stuff about Japan, so Japan inquiries. In our bio, we've got a sign up to our club if you wanted to get like emails, Instagram, stuff like that, which is pretty fun. I definitely think having a talk to me or Julia, or even just getting on the Instagram, sending a message, but definitely coming to our pop-up stalls at Clubs Day and stuff like that's a really good way of getting involved, getting amongst it.
Yeah, I reckon everyone should get around it.
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much. That's pretty much all of our questions. So
Cool.
thank you so much for joining us. We really
Thank you for
appreciate
having
it.
me.
Yeah, well, tune in next week for next week's Club of the Week.
For the last segment, we're starting an exciting new series.
This is Beneath the Trees with Leon Fuller.
I'm amazed every time I walk into this place that after 50 years, or within 50 years, all of these trees have grown so big and they have such a presence here that I'm just really pleased. I like trees. My name's Leon Fuller, and I had the privilege of being in charge of the landscaping of the university from 1975 to 1981. And at that time, the university was an old cow pasture, so it was basically just a single grass-covered paddock. And my job was to transform that into something else. None of these trees here existed at that time. This really was just a kikuyu paddock. And it had been like that for at least 100 years. Therefore, the soil was leached of nutrients, and it had a good view of Mount Kira in the background, and Mount Kira forms a really important part of the landscape. But it needed trees because there were these big buildings here that sort of were sticking out of the ground, and they were really monolithic lumps. And so my job was to sort of do something about that. And I wasn't trying to cover them up. It was to reduce the impact of those buildings, to use the trees and plants indigenous to Illawarra rather than trees from all over the world or even all over Australia. And also I wanted to get as many trees in the ground as I could to avoid the position where often trees are not considered important when there's a new building to be built, and so they often get knocked down. Well, I wanted more trees in the ground than anyone could knock down. This tree is a Moreton Bay fig. It does grow around Moreton Bay in Queensland, but it also extends, its distribution is from Illawarra here all the way up to Bundaberg in Queensland. And it grows in the rainforest and dominates the rainforest wherever it grows. Moreton Bay fig can reach up to 50 metres tall and just dominate the canopy of the rainforest. It also grows 50 metres wide as well. It's a huge tree, it really is a big tree. There were 3 or 4 original fig trees that grew here on the campus in roughly this position where this fig tree is. I collected seeds from those old trees and we propagated or germinated those seeds, propagated the trees, and these trees are the result of that. 3 species of figs indigenous to Illawarra that grow as strangler figs. That is, they grow on other trees and literally strangle them and gain access to the light by, first the seeds would germinate in the forks of the canopy, forks of trees in the canopy, and they grow a root down from that into the ground. Once that root gets into the ground, they grow a mass of roots around the outside of the host tree, and they've got quick access to the light because that's where they started. And then the tree just becomes a mass of roots, which is virtually the trunk of the tree, and the canopy of the tree spreads out over the canopy where it first germinated. The host tree disappears after, I don't know, maybe 20 or 30 or 40 years, and the fig tree is left standing, dominating the forest. If a tree is planted in the open, it would tend to form a spreading tree. If they're planted in a forest, they will grow tall because they're competing with the other trees for light. So we have examples here on campus of that happening, where we have this very spreading Moreton Bay fig, and just 50 metres away from it, there's another one which is very tall, and it had to go tall to get up to the light above the rainforest that was planted around it. The woolliness, it's a brown woolly sort of covering underneath the leaves, and that's usually in most plants to reduce the water loss from the leaf. Now, but it's a characteristic of this tree that they have big leaves, and that's the name of it. It's Ficus macrophylla, which means large leaves. And the brown undersurface helps it survive up above the canopy there.
Competition, or
Well,
still a bit?
It's sort of between the two, isn't it? It's had some competition, and every time I come here now, I'm just gobsmacked at the size of these trees. They're beautiful.
That's all we have for you today. Thanks for tuning in to the Weekly Ponder. We've been your hosts, Lara
And Caleb. Catch you next time.